going live today with another author. One of my favorite people in the world, his name is Joey, and he is, well, he's really Uncle Joey, and he's going to be joining us in just a second here. But his story is so incredible. He went through our yoga teacher training, so that's how I know him. And there he is.
All right.
Oh, I can see your lovely face now. Welcome.
Hello.
And will you tilt your camera down so we can see your face a little bit, or go?
Oh my Lord, you're asking for a lot.
I know.
I know. Well, okay.
But you're so handsome. We've got such a handsome dude on our live today, so we want everybody to see.
How's that? Is that good? I can't. Oh wait, there's a camera. Hold on.
One thing. Oh, your phone camera, so we can see you on Instagram.
The phone camera down more?
Yes, I can see your face.
Oh,
there we go. There we go. Okay.
Well, it's balancing on a wire.
One thing you guys will get today is a lot of laughter because Joey is hilarious. Everybody at our yoga studio always refers to him as Uncle Joey because he has the hugest heart. You have such an amazing story that you contributed to this book, and we'll get into that in a second. But Uncle Joey has an extraordinary story of the way that he has moved through his career. And once he was ready to retire from what he did, and I'll let you tell them about that in a second, he went through a yoga teacher training program, and now he is our teacher training program at Giving Tree. And then he is now teaching such beautiful classes. He's a wonderful teacher. And man, you have so much wisdom from your previous career and to share with your classes, but you also contributed a story from when you began that career with us that I want you to share in just a sec. Don't give too much away because I want them to read it because it's just beautiful. But before we get into the story, will you just tell us a little bit about yourself so the viewers can get to know you a little bit more, Joey?
Wow. Thank you for those accolades. Wow, that was a lot. That was so generous of you. I tell you. And Margaret, I got to put this out for the record. You know, I love you. I love your mind. I love the way you think. An amazing inspiration to everyone around you. And I love that you continue. Yeah. So. We're both.
You're back.
Yeah, I'm back. So so excuse us with the technical stuff because Anne Margaret had to walk me through all of this. But
you already had so much laughter.
Baby Giraffe learning to walk.
That would be very cute. So I'm just seeing like the legs out. Just
on the floor. Right. So a little about myself. Well, today is a special day. Today I'm celebrating a birthday. Which is amazing. You probably didn't know that, huh?
I didn't know that. Happy birthday! Oh, I feel so honored you're spending your birthday with us.
Thank you. It's actually an honor to get here. And as you know, every time we circle around that sun, you know, it adds more wisdom and it adds so much to our overall, contribution of what we get through life. So I've gone around a couple of times. The metaphor I like to use is I'm on cruise control, but that was before this birthday because now I'm a little above the speed limit. So, but so I'm celebrating my birthday today, which is always such a beautiful thing to come and if you open your heart and your mind, these things just come and it's beautiful. Life unfolds so beautifully. But so anyway, about how more or less I got started.
Yeah.
You know, I'm a firm believer looking back now. If you would have told me during my passage through life and how I got here that, things are just going to unfold and just perfectly the way they're supposed to, I would have been a naysayer. Because I come from a you gotta make things happen. You gotta force it. You gotta control it. And one thing that I've learned looking back is that's my doggy.
Cutie.
One thing that I've learned is that a lot of the things that we try to control are actually unfolding, and you don't have to try to control. If you just bring your awareness to this, things just happen the way they're supposed to. So, just to go a little back, I mean, I when I got here, I came at the tender age of 7 years old from Sicily, Italy. So I immigrated with my parents and my family. And it was difficult for me to make the transition, not only culturally, but as far as the language also, because there was a language barrier.
Yeah.
And 7 years old was not, we could be cruel as kids,
Yeah,
and even cruel,
absolutely. True.
be cruel. Camera, hold on. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. There we go. So trying to assimilate into the culture, and going through the different schools, and elementary and junior high and high school and all these things. It was a bit turbulent. One thing that I was doing throughout, because my parents were always like, you got to get out there, you got to get out there, and they had this strong work ethic. Which I think I did absorb. So
yeah, that doesn't surprise me at all, because I've been your teacher, and I know the kind of work ethic that you've got, and it's beautiful. Yeah.
Like when you walked in and we're doing sun salutation. Where? What? Who's doing that? How?
Oh yeah.
Joey made us do that. Oh boy.
Oh right, when I just said, okay, all right, it's time. You're gonna start teaching now.
Exactly. So being that, as soon as I was able to work, I actually had to go file for working papers so I could work. So I remember getting my work. I was younger than you're supposed to be. So I had to go get my working papers. And I remember working at this place, Orbax. For those who can remember Orbax, it was before the Kohl's and the Target.
That's way before my time.
Yeah. So yeah,
I'll like to think that. Okay. Thank you.
So I was actually loading trucks, loading all their clothes into trucks. It was a very vigorous job, but who cared? I didn't care. I was young enough, and it didn't bother me. I was juggling that, going to school, and then I didn't like it that much, so I moved to something else. I was doing electrical work. I got into this trade school for electrical work. I was doing that, but didn't stick with me because the guy would drop me off. He says, put it, and I'd see him at the end of the day. So I like to be around people.
Yeah.
So I didn't like that part of it.
Yeah.
So I left that. And then I went to a bakery. I used to work for one of the local bakeries, making bread, not only making bread, but also delivering the bread. And I loved it because it was an overnight job.
Right.
And then I would wake up the next day and go deliver it. And then when I was done with delivery, I used to go to the beach if it was the summertime.
Oh yeah.
So that was really nice. Well, I did that for a while, and this is where it gets the little subtle things that happen throughout your life. I remember delivering close to one of the local hospitals, and in the delivery, while I was delivering, I saw this flyer. It said, become an EMT. And I'm like, what is an EMT? And I'm reading this flyer on hospital, grounds. It was posted on one of the windows. It said, become an EMT, come take a entrance exam, and if you pass the class.
Yeah.
The class consisted of a 6 months training, and you do various rotations in different departments or whatnot. So I took the test, not knowing anything about it. It was probably reading comprehension. I did it, and I got accepted. They called me in, and they said, hey, listen, you're ready to go. We're going to be starting class. I'm like, what? Who? What? When? Well, that's when it started. And so I had to make a short turn from my lifestyle, and I started taking class, and I started learning, about medicine, emergency medicine. And it is strange because, and this is true with anything we go into, everything that you learn has nomenclature, meaning that everything that you learn, yoga also, the verbiage, when you learn something, it's about, learning more or less the verbiage. And in medicine, oh my, it's a lot of the Latin. There's a lot of Latin in it, and there's a lot of words that if you're not familiar with it, you're pulling your hair. And from what I said previously, I already had the language barrier, and trying to get this terminology in there was like,
yeah.
But I was young enough, and my brain, I guess, was absorbent enough that the transition wasn't too bad. So I got accepted into the class, and I started doing, the class, and there's this doctor, and I've mentioned to you before, and her name is Mary Jo Morgenstern. And
Yeah.
I loved her, and she loved me. I had such a crush on her. I was
Oh,
young, and
yeah.
she was not only beautiful, the way she could articulate what she was saying,
Mm.
she really, really made my mind go poof. How much
Love those people. Love those people. Yeah. Yeah.
strong influence on me. And she took liking to me, and she would always ask me, questions, and really dig deep in there to make sure that I was getting the material. So very influential person in my life. And there's something that's in the book that I'm not going to go into, but
Yeah.
during one of my rotations, I had an awakening experience that really, really guided me for the
Yeah.
rest of my life.
Yeah.
It was a turning point. And I like to refer to that as, sometimes we get these little subtleties in life that we're always, like I was saying, you're always trying to push and force and control things.
Mm.
But meanwhile, things are actually unfolding.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're of sound mind and sober mind, and sober, I
Mm-hmm.
don't mean just by, because we
Right.
have a lot of influences and we like to escape.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, these little subtleties show up. And the first subtlety was this paper that was just happened to be there. And I'm like, okay, let me try it. And I went and I took an exam, and the next thing I know, I'm in a class. Then another subtlety happened when I was doing one of my rotations. That is not so subtle. If you read, you'll find
No.
out why. That was more like a slap in the face for me. And now it's like,
Yeah.
wow, it really rocked and shook my world, and guided me
Yeah.
um, into the direction that I wanted to go. Um,
What I
so
found, yeah, go ahead, go ahead. Sorry, go ahead.
so once I became an EMT, I further went to become a paramedic. But when I landed in the fire department, that's when my growth really expanded, because
Mm.
now I'm interacting with people. I'm a people person, going out there, and the community basically thinks that you're a doctor on wheels, because we had to service a lot of
Yeah.
not so well-to-do communities. And
Yeah.
I was growing up in, and some of the communities are not what they are today. And it was just a lot of stuff. And I dealt with a lot of crazy emergencies and a lot of joyful things too. There's nothing like helping an old woman or an old man from some crazy thing that you can hold their hand and just say,
Mm.
everything's going to be okay. When it's going to be
Mm.
okay, because I don't lie to people. I'm not going to tell them that if
No,
I don't think.
no.
So
Yeah.
I think honesty is a good one. But it was impactful in my life, and that was where I needed to be. And I spent 30 years with the fire department.
Mm.
Um, that brings us full circle. After 30 years, I did retire,
Yeah.
but uh, and I retired, but I kept going. I jumped right into yoga class.
Yeah.
It's an amazing experience. I met Margaretti. What a blessing this woman is.
Oh,
Absolute blessing. She's got one of those mega brains, a lot of gray matter, white matter, don't matter type of thing.
something.
There's something up there. But yeah, another influential person in my life. And yeah, so right after I retired, jumped into that. And she gave me the honor of being able to teach her classes. She says, Joey, I want you to teach. And I'm like, what? You want me to teach? There's 9 other people in my class who are a lot better at yoga than I am. And then she said to me, she pulled me to the side and she said to me, Joey, they may be better at yoga, but you're better at teaching. And I was like, what? But that stuck with me. And that was, and
Mm.
she gave me the opportunity, and I ran with it. I'm like, okay, was it scary? Absolutely. But I stepped into it. I just showed up and kept showing up, just kept showing up. Um,
And your students are so, so grateful that you did. I certainly am so grateful you did. There's nothing more rewarding, as you know, as a teacher, is seeing your students step into their power, step into their courage outside their comfort zone. And it's, I mean, it's just, it's a pleasure to know you. There's so many stories. I mean, I can't imagine everything that you've seen. I know you shared with our teacher training class about some of the very uh, harrowing like experiences of interacting with people in the most critical and traumatic of moments. And I feel like that's one of your greatest gifts, is that experience and being able to stay grounded, because you're so earthy, you're so grounding, Joey. And anybody, yeah, I would hire my teachers based on how they received the students, how they could communicate the teachings, not just the esoteric teachings, but the alignment. And you have such a precision with detail. And I'm so honored that you shared this story with this book, because, and I can't wait for our readers to read this story, because you said that this is a pivotal moment in your overall story. And when they read this and read what you did in a critical moment, I know when I read it, I was like, what? And then I just like started crying, because I'm just so moved by getting to hear your story, getting to hear about this critical moment for somebody I truly care about in my life, and realize like, wow, that must have been something. And one of the questions I had to ask you, you kind of already answered already, is why that story? Because you've been through so much. I've witnessed you grow so much in just the time I've known you. But that story, we'll just leave the cliffhanger for our audience now so that they read it, because the actual story, the title of the story is Allowing Your Life to Unfold. And the theme that I chose for that week for our readers is let your light shine. Because, I mean, people watching you right now, they're going to just, they see it, right? I mean, you can't hide it, Joey. You're just so radiant, and just your light shines so brightly. And people who have been through really difficult challenges in their life, people who have been through very moments of feeling so ostracized, like you mentioned, and being an immigrant and coming and as a child, and learning a second language, and then going and just continuing to climb that mountain and find joy in it. I chose the seventh chakra. There's chakras connected with every story. I don't know if you knew that, but and so how can I
Why does that make
resist?
sense? Yes, why does that make
I
sense?
just happen to be obsessed with the chakras.
My chakra queen.
So the chakra I matched with your story is the chakra, the seventh chakra, the crown chakra, because you speak beautifully in your story about co-creating, like really listening to those nudges, like you just said in our talk this morning about the paper that was hanging by the hospital when you were doing another electric job, and the nudge, and then even the encouragement that your teacher had for you in that critical moment that we're not disclosing yet, but she held that space for you. And our teachers give us that co-creation, our mentors, God, the universe, the synchronicities, nature. And I just think what's so extraordinary about your story is that you said yes, because in those moments you continue to say yes through your career. I witnessed you say yes in our training, even when I was like, all right, it's time to teach. You're like, what? I can't do this as well as but you stepped into it and you said yes. And I think that's so beautiful. So what I want to ask you is, what do you want? You've kind of already mentioned a little bit, but what do you want the reader to take away as like the main message, and why is that important to you in your life?
I think the greatest attribute that the reader can take, if I was putting myself out there and my story out there, is like you were saying, let your light shine, but pay attention to the subtleties. They're not going to slap you on the side of the head. There's little subtleties that happen,
Yes.
don't try to force things. Don't always feel like you're the one in control. Things are going to present themselves. And like I said, sound mind, sober mind. These are very like to check out. We like to check out emotionally. We like to check out of we don't like to interact with things that just aren't comfortable. We don't like to be taken away from our comfort zone. So when you remove yourself, you're not there for the messages that are there, and there's plenty of messages. So as someone that's what I want the reader to get out of it is that you don't have to force your life to go into a certain direction, because you may think that you're on one trajectory, and you know what? Life is going to call you in another entirely different trajectory. Can you give yourself the space, and can you give yourself the patience to let this thing unfold the way it's supposed to, and not force it? Just let it be. You don't contribute to your life or planning or anything like that.
Right.
But pay attention to the subtleties. There's a lot of great little subtleties that come, and that's one thing. I guess another thing is that be kind to yourself. Be patient. You know, don't be so doubtful. Believe me, there's a lot of people that have doubt. A lot of people, and there's people that are in a social rung, let's say, that are above and below you. And you know what? We're all human. One thing that my job for 30 years taught me: we all bleed red. So we're
Literally.
all, yeah, all on the same.
Yeah.
We're all on the same denominator.
Right.
We're all the same. We're all equal. And our brains, most of us, we all work the same way. So saying yes to what? My doubts. Joey, go teach. What? You know, that's like, and we used to have something known as arginating. Remember Arjuna? Yes, and that was a character that was fearful when he was taken into battle. And
Yes.
we all students collectively were like, wait, what's this Arjuna? Oh, we're arginating. The teacher said you have to teach. You're like, no, I don't want to teach. You have to teach. You're in an Arjuna state. You know, you're like, oh, you're denying this. You have to go fight your battles and your family and everything else. So yeah, so you have to walk away from that, and walk away from the doubt and the fears and you know, things that you're not, you know, quite comfortable with. You just have to approach it and say yes, and that's a big one. So if they can take, if as a reader, if you can take away that you allow yourself to be in a place where you can learn and move into your place, it'll come. You don't have to force it. Can you take the steps necessary to move into yourself? I know there's a lot of symbolic things that I like to think of, and I express myself that way, but it is truly a journey. But can you step into it? Can you say yes when, you know, all your doubts and your fears and, you know, these restrictions hold us back? Can you show up and say yes? You know, because life is just about being present, and being present means you have to show up. You know,
I think that's what's so extraordinary about you, and what I noticed in your teaching is that you have a presence about you, like a sober presence. And you had to be that for 30 years when you were called into very high stressed, high pressure, emergency life or death situations. And because you've had that training for 30 years, that's one of your main gifts as a teacher, which is just extraordinary. And when you're talking about Arjuna, just Bhagavad Gita is the reference for that for our listeners who are like, what? Who is this Arjuna? You know, and it's really given a moment where life gives us these moments where it's like, what are you choosing? Are you going to choose to just resist, or are you going to choose to actually dive in and say yes and embrace what you're being given by life? So I thank you for sharing all that, and I know your readers of your story will just get so much out of it, and I can't wait for them to read it because it's so good. So it's like, oh, it's so exciting too. The story is just really exciting because you don't know what's going to happen. You don't know what, you know, very suspenseful. So last question I want to ask you, Joey, is storytelling is so powerful. We know this. It comes from indigenous practices of passing on wisdom, of sharing experience, and also processing emotional turmoil and having that also be a lesson. And this book, Raise the Vibration, a Weekly Guide, came from March of 2020 when everybody started getting super afraid and we all were just feeling like we didn't know what was going to happen. And as teachers, and I know as you as a servant, a public servant, I mean, and really getting in there for 30 years in the most extreme circumstances, people who are wired like us go, okay, well, how can I help? Like, what can I do? Like, make myself useful in this moment of challenge, collective challenge, global challenge. And so that's what I did. You know, I was asking, well, how can I help? And I just heard, get them to focus on their resilience, because we forget who we are. We forget who we are. We forget how much we've overcome. We forget how strong we are and the perspective that we have, or what we can even give in the moment. So I thought, okay, how do I do that? Like, I'm no longer in New York City with my community at the yoga studio and the healing, that whole community there in New York. And so I just thought, oh, maybe I'll just ask people to write their stories of resilience so that they're reminded by it. And 52 authors ended up showing up. So it ended up, I thought, well, this isn't a coincidence. It must be, 52 weeks to a year. I got the little nudge and I said, yes, like you said, right? So I want to know, for you, a lot of authors have shared with me their own personal journey of writing that story. But can you just share with people watching right now and the readers of this book, what was that like for you? Like, on a personal note, what did you get out of writing this particular story from your life?
Well, reflection is so, it unlocks a lot of mysteries that we have within ourselves. So that reflection is a powerful one. So when I was actually writing that story and reflecting on it, it was just an amazing wow, because of the
Mm.
and and following your calling. The problem that as humans, and going back to the doubt and fears and all
Yeah.
this, is we don't come packaged with a compass or a North Star.
Right.
So navigation becomes hard. And
Yeah.
like I said, these little subtleties point the way, but can you pick up on it? Can you
Mm.
follow it? Can you remove the distractions from all around you and go that route? So in writing that, and it's not like it's a true story. It
It isn't,
actually,
yeah, yeah,
yeah,
right from your life. I
it
can't believe you went
actually,
through that.
I can't either. I couldn't script it any better myself. If I, there's no
No.
way.
Yes.
And it's not just showing up. It's like you were saying, like a lot of the people, the Sifu's gurus and teachers and all the
Mm.
people, all the lives that have contributed to you where you are. Like I said, today's my birthday, and I do reflect on all the people that have made this heart bigger, love
Oh,
harder,
yeah.
love stronger, think about things in a more, you could just sit around the way and get on a couch and drink beer and that'll be the end of it. But you know what? Life is not going to reward you with anything. That's why you have to show up.
Mm.
But in regards to, this writing, it just showed me that all I had to do was be present. All I had to do was be there.
Mm.
And we always teach that, especially in the yoga community. Be present. What does
Yeah.
that mean to be present? There's so many things going on in the present, and there's so many books written about it. And just breathe and be here, be now, because we have so many distractions. Can
Mm.
you eliminate distractions long enough to be here? And reflecting on all that happened and the way that unfolded to me is just a blessing that I can't even, you wouldn't be able to put a price. It's priceless in
Mm.
what it delivered to me and my life. Now, I'm retired, but doing the EMT, doing the paramedic, going to school and continuing, retiring, becoming a yoga instructor. After 2 years of being retired, the fire department called me back. There was a guy that I know that used to be my intern. He started a CPR classes for the general public, and he
Mm.
called me back because he wanted to collect people of that were that this is going to go back to you and Margaret, that were people of integrity. And why is this important? People of integrity, because you know what? Know that you have a lot of friends, but in a crisis or
Mm.
something, you want a certain friend next to you that is special. So when he
Yeah.
started gathering people together, it was special to me because I was like, wow, I'm long gone. I'm removed myself from CPR, but he actually called me back so I can continue to work. And this continues to this day. As a matter of fact, I'm teaching today. We go out to teach all the communities, not just, we do churches, we do high schools, we do organizations, corporate centers.
Mm-hmm.
Today we're doing veterans, war veterans.
Oh, cool.
Military veterans. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it's always active, and yeah, that's going to happen today, later on today. But my biggest take of this is give to the community. Don't just take. Don't be the person always taking. I want this and I want that and I want that. I think we lose something. And the best way to help yourself up, I think, is by helping someone else up, So there's a lot to be said about being able to give back to the community. As a matter of fact, I was recently in Aruba with my wife, and she was reading them. She's very good with these word puzzles and whatnot. I can't even fathom.
I didn't know that about
able to figure these things out. But one of the things she figured out is a famous quote that I absolutely love, and I'm going to share it with you.
Oh, thank you. Yeah.
It's from Muhammad Ali, and it says, "Service to others is the rent you pay for your room here on earth." That's what that quote actually is my life journey. It's about giving to others. It's always, for me, it's always about giving to others, whether you're doing it community work or whatever it is, giving to others. So if you think about it that way, you're going to be rewarded beyond your imagination, So
yes.
That's what I can add to that in regards to, what did I get from writing that? All of these things came to light, all these things that my journey, my path, everything. And I hope that, the readers can have that same kind of experience of allowing it to unfold. Not forcing it. Oh, I got to do this. I got to get this and I got to do that. And all the noise and clutter and the monkey mind type of mentality. So
doesn't work anyway, right?
Doesn't work. You're just making it harder for yourself.
That's right. That's
making it harder for yourself. Yeah.
That's beautiful, Joey. And I mean, every single author that's contributed to this book, my desire for each one of you is that the difference that you made in writing the story and being vulnerable and sharing it transparently just comes back to you tenfold, because when the readers are going through the book, they're getting your experiential wisdom, they're processing it through the exercises, so it's not just an entertaining value going through the book and reading about other people, but then it's also, at the end, we have pages for them to write their own story. And that's so critical, because we all have something really valuable to share and process. And as you first mentioned, reflect. When we reflect, we look back. And I always use this background for all of my teaching and my coaching and my lives and everything, because the patchwork quilt of our lives, little pieces don't make sense by themselves. It's like they're almost discardable. They're really, they're looked at as really unimportant. But when we put it together and we reflect through doing our own journaling or reflecting through writing our own story, as the readers can author in this book, then things start to make sense. And so I want to thank you again, Joey, for joining me for this interview today. I want to thank you for sharing your story of this book. They're in for a treat. I know we've left them with a cliffhanger, and rightfully so, and it will deliver, because the story that you wrote for this book is amazing. It's just extraordinary.
Wow, thank you so much. And let me tell you, you've been, like I said it before, but I'll mention it again. You've been such an inspiration to my life. Love your brain, woman. I always tell you that. I love your brain.
Feeling is mutual, Joey. Feeling is mutual. I mean, what you bring to the world is that heart of service. And it's crazy because, when you're little and you think of doing something, or I was volunteering at retirement homes when I was in junior high and high school with my big brother, just tagging along. And at first you're like, what? I don't want to do this on my day off. And then you go and you're like, oh no, I get it. And when you do that, especially as a child, I think something implants in you that you get that being something of value for someone else is one of the greatest gifts that we have in this world. And you are so valuable to me, Joey. I just love you so much. And Happy birthday. I can't believe I'm so lucky to spend
Thank
some of it with
you.
you, and your students, rightfully so, will spend it with you too, which is just
Thank
beautiful. So
you.
thank you
That's
again.
awesome.
And for the viewers, you guys, thank you so much for joining us. I'm seeing that we've had just wonderful people joining us today, and the Raise Vibration Weekly Guidebook. It's a guide to alchemizing the human experience. That's what the guide's all about, is extracting the gold from everything that we go through. So that is going to be released in New York City, June 26th, Sunday, June 26th. We're having the release party.
Can't wait.
So can't wait either. I can't wait. This is such a beautiful compilation. And you guys, thank you so much for watching. And until next time, raise the vibration.
Raise the vibration.
Yeah.
That's right.
All right, Joey. Thank you. Mwah.